Okay, issue 4, Trump's defense budget. The president this week unveiled a budget that calls for $740.5 billion in new spending on defense. The key focus areas, well, actually not new spending, but spending for the coming year. The key focus areas are nuclear weapons and new research. Okay, so Ryan, let's start with you. Is this necessary in an era of rising great power competition with China and Russia?
No, I think the Pentagon budget's way overblown. I think it's been overblown since the George W. Bush administration. I mean, the problem was George H.W. Bush and Bill Clinton successfully started whittling down the defense spending, but they didn't end up reducing America's obligations overseas. That should have happened. There should have been a peace fund dividend that didn't end up ever occurring, but simply because we still were in troops in Somalia and all the rest of the world. I think that now that we are the world's standard bearer, we're not going to lose because of China's military. We're going to lose because, one, they're stealing our technology, and two, because of their economic superiority. I think whittling down the defense budget and whittling down our foreign obligations, benefiting that to the interior of the United States would be far better than spending almost $750 billion on defense spending.
I agree. This is a bloated budget, and it escalates the prominence of nuclear weapons, which it's an invitation to a new arms race with Russia. And the president is saying he'll only sign the START treaty, which expires in the coming year, if China gets involved. And China says, we're not going to sign it. We have 1/5 of the nuclear arsenal that the U.S. has. So he's started a fight here that I can only understand it in the context of he wants to do everything opposite of President Obama. President Obama, when his administration got involved in the START treaty, he basically said he wanted a world where nuclear weapons were de-escalated. There was no money for any new weapons. He did the minimum to sort of keep the upkeep of what we have. And this president has done the absolute opposite with new nuclear submarine, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I don't get it. And the good news is that the Congress isn't going to get it either.
I'm much more sympathetic to the administration. I think a lot of we look at the Russian breaching the INF treaty during the Obama administration, Trump administration pulled out of that. But also with the Chinese and Russians, the key concern here, I think, is the hypersonic weapons platforms that they've developed, smaller nuclear weapons, which we've now. So I would suggest it's more sort of rebalancing with them, although I think everyone would agree, hopefully, that we could see a reduction in total
You got to maintain the credibility of your deterrent. And I'm for doing all you got to do that. I agree with Ryan. The problem is the United States, I mean, we have more troops in the Middle East than when Trump took office. You got all these commitments. I see, fortunately, the Philippines want us to get out.
Mr. Duterte.
And I would say, thank you, sir. You got 7,000 islands over there. Defend them yourselves.
Okay.
Why are we defending them? I mean, we took them in 1898. Time to let go.
What do you think
I have a feeling we're not going to leave.
That's exactly right. Take this as an opportunity. Say the Mutual Security Treaty of 1951, I think, lapses. Good luck. You fellows are on your own. Call us if you need help, but we're not obligated
Before
to go.
I come to you, Clarence, I want to ask you a follow-up question. What do you think of Mr. Duterte's, Rodrigo Duterte, the president of the Philippines? What do you think of his personality?
I think he's pretty tough on drug dealers.
That's a mild way of putting it.
Would the adjective Trumpian apply to him?
But no, he's very anti-American. He's very pro-Chinese. But in the Philippine military and the Philippine security agencies, they're scared to death that Duterte is going to break that treaty with the United States, upon which they depend, which means we would not have to defend any islands in the South China Sea.
Pat Neller already agreed with me, so let's go for a third.
Which question are we on? Duterte or the...
In terms of our, whatever you want, but in terms of our defense budget, do you think it's appropriate that we're spending that much? Do you think our foreign footprint is where it should be? And do you think the nuclear investments are what they should be? Three questions there.
I agree with Ryan
all
on
three.
this. We've got to really have a realistic defense policy that also takes into account diplomacy. We are a different world now. We don't have. I was in the artillery when I was in the Army. We don't really need the artillery anymore like we used to.
Well, we need long range. We're now building artillery that can fire 1,000 miles.
Yeah, we don't need the Army like we used to anymore. No. I mean, the standing Army is just it's preposterous. Most of our stuff is done through the Navy, the Air Force, Special Ops, and the Marines. The standing Army that we have is is a jobs program.
What about if the Russians invade Europe?
Oh my God! If the Russians invade Europe, it's an aging continent. Most of them are dependent on their oil. Please, like this is not this Cold War anymore. It's and if Belarus wants to rejoin Russia, let them have it. Like what is it
exactly.
concern the United States?
I mean, if the Russians do it, I would use. We certainly wouldn't use these brand new nuclear weapons. You'd use economic sanctions, isolate them, and if they did that, why would they do it? They gave that place up. Why would they want to, re-grab Moldova?
Yeah.
Why did they want to
Well,
re-grab
he
Georgia
said
or
if
Ukraine?
Belarus,
Look, Georgia attacked them. Georgia attacked South
Debatable.
Ossetia. Okay, the Ukraine, moved straight to the west, and there's a coup d'état. So they said we're going to take our naval base back that we've had since Catherine the Great into Crimea.
All right,
Yeah.
I would
Eleanor.
have done the same thing.
if Belarus wants to join
That's my
Russia,
point,
let
yes.
them. I think it works the other way around. I think it's Russia who wants
Yes.
Belarus. I don't think you're giving
Correct.
Belarus the credit for its independence.
It's the last dictatorship in
and,
Europe, though.
And the fondness for Russia on the right, on the far right, really is confounding from a party that used to be didn't even want détente.
used to
Because
be,
we won.
All right, let
Eleanor
Eleanor finish. I'll come to you. All right.
They used to be communists, Ellen. You know what that is? And now
think
they're
they still
czarists. We
are.
never had a
All
problem
right,
with
okay.
a czar.
All right,
I think they still are.
I think with an apt term, I think we've killed that issue. Eleanor, in terms of your prediction, I anticipate coming up, do you think that Judge Berman, how do you think she'll handle President Trump's interaction with her case?
First of all, it's really not about her. It's about a president overstepping bounds. He thinks it's his Justice Department. These are his judges, and he feels free to speak out, freer more now since he's been acquitted, that he wants it to go his way. And she, I think, has very rightly will have something to say at the sentencing hearing next week when it's up to her what the sentence is. And then
For Roger Stone. Yeah.
For
Well,
Roger Stone. And then
I'll
you
come
have
to
the
you.
Attorney General basically saying, I can't do my job if you keep interfering. In other words, Barr is very happy to do President Trump's bidding. He just doesn't want it broadcast on tweets.
Okay, Pat.
Look, I mean, what Trump said, the 7 to 9 years for Roger Stone, is an outrage. Let me tell you, I remember back there in Watergate, Gordon Liddy was, put together a plan to put bugs on the telephone in the National DNC, and Sirica sentenced him to 20 years. That's like torturing a guy, and we had a perfect right to say that is an outrage, and Trump's got a right to speak on it. And as for the judge,
actually
she'd do
served on
better.
that.
Wait, well, I'll come to
The judge would do better if she just says, look, I think what is reasonable is this, and leaves Trump out of it.
Clarence.
Liddy's sentence was reduced, as I recall.
Liddy's served 4.5 years
4.5,
or something
yeah,
like
that's
that.
right.
Yeah.
All's well that ends well.
And Danbury, you want to go up to Danbury?
I would
Right.
rather not, no. Ryan, your thoughts?
I think at a man of a certain age, I mean, it's like a life sentence. And I think that the punishment doesn't really fit the crime, but also I don't think necessarily Trump. I mean, listen, Trump.
Well, we don't know
Trump-
what the sentence is yet.
Right,
So
right. But I mean, if it was 9 years, that's almost a life sentence for a man of a certain age. And I think that in the end, Trump may end up pardoning him. So I don't even know why he's
But
tweeting
you
about
have
it.
4 career prosecutors who backed away, said they're not going to work on this case anymore because they were overturned. This is political pressure. This is what this is
Well,
about.
They quit.
They quit, yeah.
Yeah.
They quit, for heaven's
But,
sake.
but
They
Eleanor's
fire
point
him
is that they
and-
quit in response to
Oh,
undue
so
pressure.
what?
Right.
Suppose
Split.
Trump had fired
come
him,
back
I'd
to you.
agree with you
Well-
if Trump fired all 4 of them, but they got up and quit. They whined, they couldn't take it, so they left.
They quit
So what?
because the precedents were violated. If you're a prosecutor
right.
and you're building up a case, and they have spent a long time
But, you
building
know-
up this case,
Let
and then Trump intrudes with a tweet that
That's
just
right.
throws everything up in
That's
the
right.
air.
Throw it in the air.
I wouldn't work
Barr-
under those conditions either.
Barr
Neither would
said,
you.
Barr said himself, look, that's too much, and I was working on talking the next morning to sending it over there. And Barr
Quietly, yeah.
said, yeah, but Barr can say, Trump, get out of my business.
Right.
But, he did nothing wrong.
Okay, here's another.
Okay. and Trump never does anything wrong
Yeah,
from
yeah,
your
face a lot.
perspective. So
Occasionally.
Well,
take that with a grain of
occasionally.
salt.
Let's do a little round robin here to wrap this up. Pat, what chance, 1 out of 10, do you think, 10 being certitude or metaphysical certitude, as our namesake once said, and 1 being absolute, as I
Sure
said, chance of
possibility.
escaping the event horizon of a black hole. How likely do you think it is that President Trump will pardon Roger Stone by the end of the year? Not necessarily by the election, but by the end of the year.
Well, yeah, of course it would be after the election
Right.
if he's going to do something.
Well,
Exactly.
with Trump, you don't know. But what
I
do you
think
think? What
there's a
number?
high
That's metaphysical.
Yes,
Why?
yes.
What are you saying? What's your number?
I mean, before Trump leaves office, I believe
Right.
Roger Stone will be pardoned.
Okay.
And so will Paul Manafort, and so will General Flynn. Why he doesn't do it now? He knows that he would get some negative blowback, so he's trying to, apply his pressure. But he's got those pardons, and he will do it after, win or lose, after the election.
Yeah, 10 or whatever the highest
10.
number is. That's
Okay.
yeah,
Do you agree
that's,
with that,
yes.
Clarence?
Metaphysical certitude.
Yeah.
And thank you for reviving the golden oldie there, Tom. We really
Yeah,
some of us.
I thought about it. One of the other things that I think we're
Because
going
also Roger Stone never crossed him. He never turned on him. He never did anything. And I think he'll
right.
replay
Yeah,
that
Stone
loyalty.
stayed loyal.
Yeah, he
Yep.
stayed loyal to
President
That's
Trump.
key with
And we
Trump.
also have, as a concluding comment, Eleanor, do you want to jump on this? Hope Hicks returning. Any thoughts on that?
Well, I just read a headline that she didn't feel comfortable in Hollywood as a Trumper, so
Okay.
she's back.
She was working at Fox News, though, so I don't know. If that
How
Look,
uncomfortable
I've got a
is she
bunker.
again?
I think Trump feels, understandably, he's had certain people that really weren't loyal to him, and he wants to bring back folks, and he's always trusted her. She's been a trusted aide, I think, for a long, long time, and I can understand it perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was, you're absolutely right, Pat. What surprised me was that she decided to come back. But, Hollywood, yeah, a lot of people on the right, I dare not call them snowflakes, but they feel uncomfortable around all the liberals in L.A. Or some in Manhattan as well. Although somehow Fox News is headquartered
The
in Manhattan.
investigations were bankrupting her, and I think the DC. I
that's
think that's probably why she left initially. She was loyal. I wrote an op-ed in the Examiner that she should have been the chief of staff. I think that she's a great hot rehire into the White
Okay.
House.
All right. I'm going to say as a little concluding comment here that LA folks might not like the MAGA crowd, except for Larry David, which we've seen with President Suites. Curb Your Enthusiasm, that beautiful scene. Go on YouTube and type in Larry David MAGA hat, and you'll see something wonderful.